It's Tuesday night. We're birdie hunting. On the schedule, we've got PGA best ball. We're going to be drafting the Albatross, talking ADP risers and fallers over the last week, talking major qualifications, who's in, who's out over the last week, coming off of the players. There's a lot of good stuff to get into. We've got our guy, Cameron Young, raising the trophy without smiling and bombing drives, 370 yards plus on 18. People are saying the longest drive on 18 at the players in the last 25 years. Incredible. A birdie at 17 just to really drive the point home. So we're going to draft the Albatross tonight. Then we're going to change gears and we're going to be talking the Valspar at Innisbrook, the Copperhead course, a very tough golf course, a challenge. The field, coming off of the players, it's still a surprisingly strong field. Names like Schauffele, Hovland, Fitzpatrick, and on and on. So we're going to get into that. We're going to prep for that. We're going to look at the sims and see what the models tell us, draft some Underdog Opens. If you're new to the channel or if you're watching this later, slap that like and make sure you're subscribed. I've got a goal to hit 1,000 subs by the end of the summer. So help me out. It's free to subscribe. And if you like what you see, come get in here in the live chats. I go live every Tuesday night for PGA Best Ball fantasy content. If you want access to my data models, my ADP tracking, my tournament histories for the Albatross, I also have it for the big board as well. But for the Albatross here, become a YouTube channel member today, join the inner circle, or become a premium Lamborghini driver, as we like to call it here, the channel. Get the Lamborghini emotes, throw them in the chat. All that and more. So tonight we're going into some prep for our Albatross draft. We're going to draft at least one Albatross, maybe two. We'll see how we're feeling. And then we're going to switch gears for this week's tournament. But first and foremost, got to say what up to everyone in the chat. We got my man, Emo Cowboy, stopping by. What's up, brother? We got Pat from the Fantasy Dog Pound, Jeff T, a.k.a. Money Ain't a Thing, the Fantasy Dog, the OG homie, Hartman, a.k.a. Sharpman, a.k.a. my dog. What's up, brother? How we doing? Good stuff. Yeah, let's get right into the data. Let's, boom, get right into it. So I've updated this today. I've got the updated ADPs from the last week. We can see that trending from left to right here, right before the players' names. The ADP change over the last week, week over week. So Xander's popping up, taking the spot of Tommy Fleetwood, who falls back a spot. Ludwig continues to rise. You know, the ADP for this tournament's a little bit delayed, I would say. So some of that hype from the Thursday, Friday, Saturday rounds, Ludwig going into Sunday, he's been rising. I don't know if he'll fall much because, as we all know, Ludwig has the best PR team in golf and everyone loves drafting him, even though we all like Ludwig. He's good, but still slightly overrated, but still really good and bright future ahead of him and a great career to start. But in the context of this tournament, this is the Albatross. It is a large field best ball tournament on Underdog, majors only. So we're focusing in on which players are going to win these majors. All of the money's in the Open, the final leg. So we have, of course, the Masters tournament at Augusta, and then you advance 1 out of 6 in your pod. You get to the PGA, you advance there. Go to the US Open, you advance there to get into the finals for your chance to win this year's grand prize, which, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's, let's pull it up. It's $50,000 up top. Yeah, I knew it was 50,000. 30,000 entrants, 50,000 up top, $15 entry, 400,000 in total prizes. It's about 46% filled right now. The advance is 161515, 200 seat final. So always good just to review that. Okay, let's get into the risers, the followers, all the good stuff. But the way I like to sort this in my data, and if you're a channel member, you get access to this sheet. I share it with you. I update it every single Tuesday with the OWGR, the qualifications. I track data golf rankings, ADP and OWGR trends. So that's what we're seeing from left to right here. A good example would be, we could look at a guy like Ludwig. Over the last month, he's gone from ADP 9 down to 7. A lot of that happening in the last week. He went from data golf rank 25 down to 10, so he's rising. And as OWGR has gone from about 23 to about 17, so still, pretty decent. And he's qualified here for all 4 events. So we read this is a number in front of the decimal is guaranteed to be in that many majors. The number after the decimal would be conditionally qualified or on track to qualify based on OWGR and many, many other qualification criteria per each tournament, which I update weekly. So, for instance, a guy like Hideki, surprisingly enough, only guaranteed to be in 3 of the events, but he's number 13 in the world. He's going to be in all of them, and a former winner at Augusta. So that's where you get the 1 from. He's a major winner. He's got 1 major. Bryson's got 2. Xander's got 2. Rahm's got 2. Rory's got 5. Scotty with 4. Who stands out here in the top round? Fleetwood and Oberg are the guys that don't have a major yet. We have Colin Morikawa with his 2 victories in 2022 and 2023. And he's been a huge riser in this tournament, going from, ADP. I mean, we got all the ADPs here. Boom. Colin Morikawa was going at pick 31 when this thing opened. I have a ton of exposure to Colin. He's one of my most drafted players, rising in the 20s. People are fading him. And then Colin, gets it done. And at Pebble Beach, goes from pick 20 to 13 to 10. Now he's at 9. So one of the benefits of tracking the ADPs, the movements, and drafting all draft season long, the tournament's been open for about 2 months now. The way I like to do this, I like to sort by the events qualified for and then look at cohorts or tiers of players within that. So before we get into that, I'm going to catch up with y'all in the chat, and then we'll pop in over there and look at who's qualified for what and what's changed in the last week. Appreciate the number 4 like from the fantasy dog, my man. the Bashal Tootin of PGA best ball, nothing can plummet this man's ADP. Also true. Boom. The blue Lambo in the chat. What's up, Hartman? Yeah, if you're wearing a hat in your profile picture, you're probably a professional golfer. Actually, this hat's pretty sick. I got this one. This is from the Quail Hollow. So shout out. It's a pretty sick little snapback. Shout out to Scotty Scheffler, of course. I won and Fantasy Dog, an avid golfer himself, won a long drive scramble at 5'8", 145, 51 years old, stud, complete, dominant stud, Fantasy Dog. Yeah, appreciate that. Yeah, Morikawa must be playing good. It's been a while, right? He's always good. It's just about how frequently he's playing and does he strike at the right time. We know Morikawa is so good. So on that note of Morikawa, why have I been drafting so much Morikawa ahead of ADP? And what's the deal there? Let's look at his tournament history. Okay, so this is very important. And we know he's always been a borderline top 10 golfer in the world at any given moment. Over the last 5 years at Augusta, 14, 3, 10, 5, 8. That's insanely good. He's always in the top 20 over the last 5 years. 3 of those are top 10s. 2 of them are top 5s. Insane. Colin gets it done at Augusta. He could win the Masters this year easily. At the PGA, 2 top 10s in the last 5 years. Very impressive. At the US Open, 2 top 5s in the last 5 years. Back in 2022, 2021. But he's getting it done. I think, what did I say? I misspoke. I said Colin got his in 2022 and 2023. Man, time flies. 2020 and 2021. I'm assuming, because that would have been Colin's latest major victory was in 2021. Am I going nuts? He won the Open. So one other thing at the far end here, I'm tracking across the 4 tournaments the last 5 years. That'd be 20 events you could possibly be in. Colin Morikawa, out of 20 events, has gotten 14 top 25s. Very impressive. 8 top 10s. It's insane. I mean, he's a top 5, 6 golfer in that regard. 6 top 5s, only second to Scotty and Rory and Rahm. No, ahead of Rahm actually. So only second to or only behind Scotty and Rory. And at the Open, where all the money is in this tournament, the very finals, he's won it in the last 5 years, which was his top 5, and he has 2 top 25s. Of course, the Open, the US Open, PGA, they all change venues. Augusta is probably the easiest to predict with course history, tournament history. But, you know, guys who have already won majors are the most likely to win another major. It's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy, but that's just how it goes. So to win your first major is difficult, to say the least. Look at last year. We had 4 majors last year. 2 of them were won by Scotty, who already had won majors. Another was won by Rory, the Masters, who had already won a major, already won 4 of them. Completed his career Grand Slam. Only JJ Spawn gets his first major victory. So 1 out of 4. In the year before that, it was Bryson and Scotty and Xander twice. So all previous major winners. Actually, technically no, because it was Xander's first 2. So Xander was the guy who won his first major, but then won his second. So, but very interesting stuff. Okay, all of that to say, we're very in on Colin Morikawa here. Yo, what's up, MLB Syndicate? How we doing, brother? Nothing much, G. Nothing much. We're just going through the model. We're about to get into the updates, what's changed, the numbers, how we're trending over the last week, who's qualified, who's in, who's out. Yeah, who we moving up. That's what we're about to find out. And I've got some names. I'm excited to share that with y'all. Some names, who's moving up, who's moving out. I'm pretty sad. There's some names who are moving out I'm actually a little bit disappointed in, but we'll get to that. Yeah, Ludwig does great at the Masters. That is one of the redeeming qualities of his cost. Yeah, this is very true. Was scooping Kawa at 30. I love that. Yeah, me too. Me too, brother. Love that. With the back injury, I'm a little concerned, actually. I am a little concerned. We do have to track these injuries week to week. It is getting close to Masters. We're a month out, under a month out. We have 3 tournaments in between now and the Masters. So it is concerning, the back injury. Let's just keep it. Let's keep an eye on that. And with Rory too, actually, he's kind of got a tweak coming out of, I think it was the API, right? So we'll keep an eye on that. All right, now for the good stuff. Who's in, who's out, what's changing. This is what I like to do. So the events qualified for, I'm going to filter for all of the players who have qualified for 4 events. So guys who are guaranteed to be in 1 and are conditionally qualified for 3, that's a 1.3. We got the 2.2s, the 3.1s, so they're guaranteed to be in 3. They're on track to be in the 4th, and then the guys who are guaranteed to be in all 4. This is tier 1. And there's a difference here because some of the guys who are, a 1.3 are riskier, but this is essentially the top, and this changes week to week. So we're gonna talk about who's in, who's out, what's changed. No surprises here. All the top guys, no one's filtered out yet. We're looking at, how things are changing, the ADPs, who's on fire. Ludwig's been on fire. We know that. Henley's been cooling off a little bit. I am going to chase that. I want to draft a lot of Russell Henley. A guy who hasn't won before in a major, but contends. Just as likely to win a major as Ludwig in my mind, and has been either the same price or cheaper essentially the entire tournament. What else we got here? Patrick Reed's been a favorite of mine. He continues to rise, and he's kind of settled around pick 20. Justin Rose has been cooling off since his win. Was that about a month ago? Nothing crazy so far with all these guys who are already in all of the events. Some ADP movement. Akshay is a big riser, right? Coming off the API. So we see Akshay rise up a little bit. I do like that. Been drafting a lot more Akshay. Ben Griffin's been a big faller. He just hasn't had a great start to the year, but we know he's very good. Shane Lowry is a guy, and he's rising up a little bit. Maybe that has to do with the Cognizant and him narrowly missing out on a victory there. You know, I don't mind the Shane Lowry pick. I'm a little bit skeptical of his recent form. Something I didn't realize with Shane Lowry, and we're going to pull this up. Let me go ahead and pull this up now. He hasn't won a tournament on the PGA Tour since 2021. Let's go back. 2021. Is this true? Okay, he didn't win in 2021. 2019. 2019, he wins the Open and hasn't won since. I mean, we've got his victories here. That doesn't seem right, but it is. So Shane Lowry hasn't won the tour in quite a while. Unless his recent form is really strong, you can make a case to fade Lowry here, I think, a little bit. Prefer to go for guys like Justin Thomas, who we think is healthy. Sepp Straka, who is great recent form. Maybe a guy like Jacob Bridgman, who's been a huge riser in this tournament, of course. So interesting stuff there. What are your guys' thoughts on Lowry? Are you slightly fading Lowry, or do you think he can bounce back with some strong performances during the majors this season? Yes, exactly. Yeah, which is something to keep an eye on. And so we keep tabs on it. Jeff says Lowry only has one PGA Tour victory other than the Open Championship. He does win a fair amount on the DP World Tour. Yeah, he does. He does win on the DP World Tour. So we give him credit for that. You know, he's one of the guys who's on the fence. He straddles the line between playing the DP World Tour events and the PGA Tour events. We go down here. Justin Thomas, like I said, he's been a little riser. Sepp Straka. Spawn's been a follower this entire time. Hasn't looked insanely good so far this year. I think he's okay. I think he's getting cheaper. He's fine to take. I do start to think more about taking a guy like Jake Knapp over him. And, you know, so Jake Knapp, it says 1.3. He's really a one of the rare 0.4 kind of guys, because he most likely will get into the Masters. He's not guaranteed to be there, but he's top 50 OWGR right now. So that's a little bit of a caveat there, but he's been at times this season outside of the top 50. So, but no, Jake Knapp is a guy that I'm pretty excited about. I think he's interesting. I don't know if he'll win a major, but he can contend with the best of them. We think we can see that from him. Getting to the bottom of this list, these are guys that I think are like, and it changes week to week, but kind of sure things to play in a bunch of these events. Guys like Ryan Fox, guys like, and these are guys who are maybe not win the major for you, but they're going to hit your lineup potentially, give you a surprise top 10, something like that in one of these majors. You know, Rasmus is now on track to be qualified for all 4 events. That's kind of new news. As well as Nikolai. I'm a slightly afraid because he's only at 47 in the world right now, and he's back in at the Masters. Rasmus is guaranteed to be at the Masters. Nikolai gets there based on his OWGR. So it's a little bit, you know, concerning there that he might fall back out in the next 3 weeks. Keep an eye on that. So there's some risk. There's a lot of reward in this range. Nico Echeverria, I think, is a smash. He's almost certainly guaranteed to be in all of the majors. Same thing with Aaron Rai, Marco Pinge. With it filtered. That's why I was like, why is it not going further? So these are the ends of the guys, and these are some really late round quality picks. Matt McCarty, I've been smashing him. He's been slightly falling in OWGR, so there's a chance that he loses qualifications at some point, but I think he's a really strong pick. Casey Jarvis, two-time winner on the DP World Tour in the last month. He's essentially a lock to be in all four majors. Pretty fun, interesting up and comer out of South Africa. Michael Brennan, the PGA Tour rookie. I think he's a really solid pick. He's guaranteed to be in the Masters and the Open, and then he should qualify for the PGA and the US Open based on his OWGR and his standing, even if he doesn't do anything great between now and then. Christopher Wrighton, I think, is an interesting pick, still on track to be qualified for all four majors. Yes. Yeah, Nico. Yeah, Nico's in. I don't know that they've officially I have to double check that, but I don't know if they've officially updated that. It's a good catch. So maybe I have to double check that. I don't know if they've officially updated it on the PGA Tour website, saying that he's guaranteed to be in all four currently, but that that sounds right. But he'll be in all four. So Nico there. Let's filter for the guys who are only in three of the events. So this is going to be guys who are the 0.3s, which is a high risk category, the 1.2s, very high risk, the 2.1s, pretty comfortable, but could be better, and the 3.0s. Let's see here. Okay. So at the top of this list, Jordan Spieth, he's not currently qualified for the US Open, which is tough because that's the tournament he needs to win to get his career Grand Slam. So Spieth going in kind of the middle ranges of the draft in 3 out of the 4 majors. Daniel Berger is on track to be. Let me double check this on Berger actually. Is Berger still 3 out of 4? You know what? This is saying 4. I'm not sure what's the difference here then. Where do I not have Berger that he's supposed to be? At the US Open? Let me check that. Let's check that real quick. Berger at the US Open. Huh. Yeah, might have just missed that. I think 'cause he's on the bubble watch. We'll have to do an update on that because Berger's definitely in at the US Open. Let me go back and fix that. Interesting. Okay. I was out last week and it kind of like mixed up my normal routine. So I feel like, and that happened exactly last week. I feel like I need to go refresh that. But good catch there. Daniel Berger's actually qualified for all 4 events. Uh, Grazerman moves down to 3 events from 4, kind of in the last month. Rasmus Niergaard Peterson's been falling off. He's only in 3 out of the 4 now. Haotong Lee's been in 3 out of 4 for a while, but it was looking like he might be able to get into. I want to say it's the U.S. Open as well. He hasn't really got there yet. Michael Kim's been declining in his qualifications. John Kiefer's been falling out, so he's a name that I'm not clicking as much anymore. Sammy Valimaki is one guy that's fallen out, so he's gone from a 2.2 to a 2.1 in the last week. Jaden Trey Shaper has gone from being a guy borderline to getting into the Masters. in all 4 events to a guy that is only in 3 of them right now, but interesting. And then there's some other names on here. Like, I don't know if anyone's drafting Padraig Harrington in his kind of, his end of his career. Same thing with guys like Phil or Tiger. I wouldn't advise. Elvis Smiley's interesting. I need to double check that actually, because that's another name that I was seeing here on the bubble list. Smiley, yeah, 3 out of 4 for Smiley, not the Masters. So that matches up with what I got. Adrian Sadier, the Frenchman, in a similar spot. So there's some scroll down names like Smiley, Sadier, Shapier, McKibben, Live Tour guys you could go for. I am taking a lot of Berger now to play a little bit of catch up. So he's been a guy I've been interested in. The rest on this list are kind of, I don't know, not moving in the right direction necessarily. Yeah, I use Data Golf for the basis for my qualification tracking updates. I think last week though, there's some borderline guys that I might have missed. It seems like I feel like I got most of them, if not all of them. But yeah, the PGA Tour website like never updates, and it only updates for the locked guys, which is true. Okay, now the last list. We don't have to look at the guys who are only in one event, but let's look at the guys who are in 2 events and see if there's anyone interesting that we think could move forward. So 0.2, 1.1, 2.0s. Ricky Fowler, not interesting. Maybe. I mean, is Fowler even in the field at the Valspar? I want to say he's not. Yeah, he's not in the field at the Valspar. He is going to be in Houston. I know that. Fowler would need to do pretty well, and I don't know what it's going to take to get top 50 OWGR. He's been moving in the right direction, but to get qualified for the Masters, he's also not qualified for the Open. So he's kind of a high risk pick. There is some reward. He's actually been playing pretty good this season. Data golf ranking, he's top 20, but his OWGR has been lagging behind. ADP has been at 50, so it's very expensive for a guy who's only in 2 events. He's 100% drafted, so he's not like a scroll down pick where he's differentiating you either. Michael Thorbjornsen, a guy who's lost some quals in the last couple of weeks. A month ago was qualified for all 4 events for a while there. He's an interesting guy that he could jump back into the top 50. He's also not in the field for the Valspar, but I'm pretty sure he's in the field for Houston too. Homa is a guy that's 100% drafted and pretty risky pick. He will be in the field for the Masters at least and the PGA, it looks like. So he could be a guy that rises up and qualifies for more events, but he's 100% drafted, essentially not the most exciting. Pearson Cootie's been a faller. He's no longer qualified for the Masters, so that's a bummer. And could he get back? Yes, he is in the field for the Valspar. It's a bummer because he was a guy that rose up a ton, was going in the 40s, even the late 30s for a bit. Now he's fallen back off. Dustbin Johnson, we're not really drafting him. Billy Horschel, total vibes guy, not going to play at the Masters, so risk pick there. Koiven, Potgieter. Potgieter is in the Masters and the Open, if I'm not mistaken. No, Masters and the PGA for Potgieter. So he'd have to get into the U.S. Open and the Open. Pretty hard to do, but he's actually not too far off being 75th in the world. It's just he hasn't played great this year. So I'm not excited to click Potgieter. A bunch of other guys who are either live golfers or DP World Tour golfers. There's some interesting names, but these are guys that are going to play, 2 events, maybe play themselves into a 3rd event. If they're not already qualified for the Masters, they're even riskier and could be scroll down guys that differentiate you, though. I mean, imagine if a guy like Davis Riley, who is qualified for the Masters, and, there he is. David, I was on the wrong line. I was like, why? It looks so weird. Davis Riley is qualified for the Masters, got a top 25 there last year, got runner-up at the PGA last year at Quail Hollow. Shout out to Scotty Scheffler, even though Scotty Scheffler completely smoked him. But if he does well at like the Masters and the PGA, he could continue to qualify for more events. So he's kind of a name to watch. He's kind of an interesting one. He's also in the field at the Valspar this week. He is to me an interesting pick, a guy that I was drafting at some point. He's essentially going undrafted now, but he's in the first two majors, so that could be a guy. And he's won on the PGA Tour in the last 2 years. He won that the Charles Schwab back in 2024. So just an interesting guy there. Hadn't been doing great to start the year, but yeah, I know with Neiman, and with him too, he just qualified for another major. So he's not in at the Masters. This is Neiman, but he's in at the PGA and the US Open, at least is what it says. So he's now qualified for 2 out of the 4 events. Where's his name on here? Do I not have him updated? Let's clear. Let's select all and clear, because he was previously only qualified for 1 and is famously the worst pick on the board because his lack of qualification. Let's go find Neiman, and then let's get into a draft. I'm gonna load up a draft, and then we'll find Neiman and figure it out, because I don't know how long it'll take to fill this thing. Waiting on 3. It might take a second to fill. I'll keep an eye on it, and let's see if we can investigate what's going on with Neiman. Dang. Okay, we got an issue with some of the quals data. I think it happened last week when I was on vacation, because he qualified for the PGA. No, it's not showing up. It's not the PGA. It's the US Open. No, I don't understand when Neiman's status changed and we didn't get notified of it. But it happened recently. I know that. Waiting on 2 more for an Albatross. Okay, so he's PGA and US Open. We can update that pretty quick. Throw him in there at the US Open. We've already got him for the PGA. Okay. Pick Stevens while we're at it. I think I saw something, an issue there. He wasn't showing up. So Sam Stevens, now I'm going to go to his page too. He lost his qualification for the Open. So he's a 3 out of 4, which is a bummer. This is Sam Stevens' page. He's one of the guys that I've been drafting a ton of and I like, but he fell out of the qualification for the Open, dropping out of the top 50 in OWGR. So that's messed up last week because I didn't see, being on vacation last week sets me really far back because I didn't name change Samuel from Sam to Samuel, and I lost that trend for him. I wonder. Oh well, I'll figure it out later. Still waiting on 2 more to fill this Albatross draft. kind of what it's been like. I didn't, I probably should have joined it a little earlier. Um, we're looking at the sheet, but I noticed that because for the battle royales this week, they seem like they're not really filling to what I would expect. There might be some fatigue coming off of the players. The Underdog Open probably should be about 20% filled by now. It's at 13. It's not that far off. The par 3 is 43%. So it's moved up a bunch in the last couple hours. That's good. That's one that sometimes fills. The putting green is usually already filled by now or close, and it's 48%. So that's interesting. As an indication, the big albatross, I think my plan is to do 2 of these, and I'm going to do them as slows. And I'm waiting for the optimal amount of information. So knowing I'm only going to do like 2 of them, I could start one in like a week, and I wait until like the end of right before the Masters to do my last one. I think I'll do 2 of them. It's a 5 max, but I think it makes sense to do 2 given it's a $100 entry. It'd be $200 into the big albatross with the goal of winning 20K. We'll see. If I'm feeling really excited and about it, I might do a third, but I don't know. We'll see. I don't think I'm planning to completely max the albatross given they made the tournament smaller this year and increased the entry fee $5. So instead of being a 50,000 person $10 entry, it is a 30,000 person $15 entry. And so just kind of a slightly different, the math is a little bit different there. Perfect. We're on the clock. Let's go. Scotty Scheffler, 101. Boom. Looks like we just won this draft. Anytime you get a Scheffler team, it just feels so good because you're live to advance. You're live to win the whole thing, is what it feels like. Shout out to Hartman in here in the 4 spot. He goes Xander Schauffele. Love to see it. But yeah, Jeff, this is so likely to happen. I mean, us fading Neiman all year and then he gets into all the events. It's only right that would happen to us. Yo, what's up, Meg? Good to see you. Appreciate you. Oh, and some housekeeping news. So Meg and I are going to be drafting on the Fanspeak Network and doing some PGA Best Ball this Friday night. So super psyched for that. Also, tomorrow night I'm going live with Adam from Nice and Blunt to do to do NFL Best Ball on his channel. And then I think the plan is for Bindles and I to go live Thursday night to do a late week ballsy show because we've been on a hiatus for a bit as we've been sick and on vacation and sick again and just things come up. So we're going to get a busy night, a busy week of drafting and some good stuff. So make sure you're subscribed here and I'll be posting on my YouTube about the other places and channels that I'm going to be streaming on and drafting with throughout the week. So look forward to that. Also, follow me on Twitter at FFP Garage if you don't already. And you can get notifications when I'm going live. And sometimes I tweet out other interesting stuff and promote other cool channels. So definitely give me a follow there if you don't, if you're on X. We're coming back around. It's pretty easy in these early. So I have my rankings in here. My rankings, I'd say, are dated. I feel like I haven't put a solid effort into updating my rankings in the last month. So I'm going to flip between the rankings and the ADP. Henley and Hovland feels really strong. I also don't mind McIntyre. I like Goddard a lot. So we're pairing. I'm going to go Henley and Hovland. We're going Scotty Scheffler with Henley and Hovland. Because Henley had been going higher, I feel like this is somewhat unique to my Scotty build. I'd have to check for sure. I wouldn't be surprised if I have a Scotty, Henley, Hovland start, but it is good to get some different variations on your Scotty builds. And both of these guys have, would be first time major winners. Hovland having won a FedEx Cup or like a PGA championship event, but not a major. Henley being, I know he won at the API. Is he a 2-time API winner? Just 1 time. But Henley is just due, it seems. Yeah, we're going to be drafting some more Albatrosses this Friday with Meg on the Fanspeak Network channel. Shout out. US Open as the top live end of 2025 standings. US Open grants 2 live exemptions. Okay. Yeah, I knew it was kind of dated because like 2025 seems like they're using the wrong year, but yeah, this is true too. This is true too. That makes sense, Jeff. Yeah, did you that'd have been so funny. Yeah, Ludwig goes at pick 6 here, so he continues to rise, even though he choked on the back 9. Patrick Reed goes, Bhatia goes, guys I like a lot. I'm going to skip Lowry, like I was saying, slight fade. I don't mind Sam Burns or Sepp Straka. Ooh, do I want to grab Bridgman, though? Bridgman's kind of nice. I'll take Sam Burns. Sam Burns, hard for me to not to click him. I feel like I need more of him. So let me get Sam Burns, Sepp Straka on this squad. Scotty's my anchor, and then I'm going for upside. Guys who could win their first major. Sepp can really stripe the ball. Sam Burns, one of the best putters in all of golf. Ben Griffin continues to fall, so he goes 22 there, a little bit past ADP. Bhatia rising. Patrick Reed still rising. Rose, kind of where he's been. Koepka goes early here. I think he's been a faller. I don't like taking Koepka in the 3rd round. I think Koepka to me is like a 5th or 6th round pick, honestly. I might take him ahead of Lowry, but ahead of Spawn, I don't even know at this point. Yeah, 1st round Ludwig. This guy does know ball. Yeah. Yeah, overstating the prior week result happens a lot in these tournaments. No doubt. Bridgman's ADP has risen. Maybe I should pop out. Let me pop out here. Let me see what this looks like. And maybe I can zoom in a little bit more and then move myself here. Maybe that's a little better. Bridgman's ADP has risen by about 6 rounds since I was a guest on your stream, and he said he was the best guy on the board. I'll celebrate that. Yes, no doubt. I really like Corey Connors. I like Knapp. I like Bridgman. They all go. Bummer. Really good picks. Not afraid to go Keegan Bradley. And I like Ryan Gerard too. So I'm gonna go Bradley, Keegan Bradley, and then Ryan Gerard with my next pick once it loads. I think that makes sense. Gerard finished 27th at the Players and been playing well this year and going back the last rolling 12 months. Keegan Bradley, long time ago, U.S. Open winner, over a decade ago, but just still a guy. Berger. Oh, damn. Berger. Okay. Well, still. Is that Hartman? Hartman, nice pick. Yeah, Berger at 40 is a very good pick. Very fun pick. The right pick, probably. There's a while there where Berger was like still getting drafted or potentially undrafted sometimes because he was such a borderline guy to get into these events, but he's really solidified his position to get into the majors. So Yeah, Hartman gets Bridgman and Berger. I like both those picks. It's sometimes hard if you have the Scotty team, it's sometimes hard to get the values to fall back to you. So I do feel like I could end up reaching if I want. Like even now, we're going into rounds 8 and 9. There's essentially ADP doesn't matter anymore. There's still some like general rankings and tiers that I have for guys. And if you want someone at this point, you just take them. Harmon goes. I would have liked to get Brian Harmon. I've got a bunch of them though, so I'm not going to like stress about it too much. Hoygaard, Ryan Fox. I could do Nico Echeverria, which I might just do that. Let me go Nico. And the question becomes, do I want Rasmus or Ryan Fox? Mm, 12 seconds. Can I look at the data fast enough? Probably not. I'm going to take Rasmus unless I can convince myself not to. I'm just going to take Rasmus here. One top 25. It was at the Open last year. 32nd at Augusta last year. Compared to Fox, who didn't play at Augusta last year. He's got 3 top 25s. One of them at the Open. So Ryan Fox doesn't have like a great majors history or anything, but he should be qualified for all of them. He's kind of a guy to me. I don't want to discount him too much. I feel like I don't click him a ton though. With Rasmus, I feel like there's a little bit more upside. Sungjae M with the wrist injury is pretty unfortunate. So he's had a bad start to 2026. Fowler goes, like I said, he's always drafted. Thigala's always drafted. And probably a little bit overdrafted, these two. Thigala, I mean, if he's a guy that ends up getting into more events, we're going to be hammering him late. Thigala right now only in one event, if I'm not mistaken. I know I've had some issues with the updates on the quals. So still no guarantee. So confirm this is data golf. He's only in the PGA, which is the easiest one to get into. So not impressive for Thigala. Kind of a bad pick. Here, I'm considering guys like Wrighton, Novak, Brennan. I think that's the way I'm going to go. So Christopher Wrighton and Andrew Novak, because they're very likely to play in all of the events. So I just need guys who can potentially hit my lineup. What about Keegan? Just seems to have Ryder Cup hangover, hasn't looked top form. Yeah, one thing that's kept me in on Keegan is he's been simming out pretty nicely in all of these week-to-week tournaments. So I feel like he's a guy that's like he doesn't look great, but then all of a sudden he could play well at the Valspar or the right before Augusta, the Masters, and then all of a sudden he kind of pops a little bit. I feel like he's pretty cheap, pick 36. At the same time, you're right. Like the upside of going, if you could snag Bridgman at 36 would be nice, or Connors even, or Knapp, or Berger. After that, I mean, I kind of have Bradley in a similar tier as guys like Harmon, probably Cam Smith. So previous major winners that could get it done again. I've been surprised how much Harmon's fallen. Cam Smith too. I get it. Cam Smith was cut in all the majors last year, but it seems a little bit interesting. Hartman goes with Billy Ho. Nice pick. Fun pick. Vibes pick for sure. We're getting late in the game. There's only so many scroll downs. Ryu Hisatsune was an interesting pick for a minute, and then he started to kind of fall out of the quals a little bit. I think I'm trying to think about who my last pick's gonna be. I've got one guy in my queue. Grazerman, not a bad pick. I like Grazerman. There he is. Casey Jarvis goes. That's a fun pick. If so Jarvis is gone, I'm gonna go Michael Brennan because he's very likely to be in all of the events. Boom. Yeah, Casey Jarvis there. We talked about him not last week because I was off, but the week before at a Casey Jarvis and Nico Echeverria centric show with Nico winning the cog and Jarvis getting back-to-back wins on the DP World Tour. I learned something new every day. I didn't know Cam Smith's lore. Cam Smith, yeah, Cam Smith got the bag and then hasn't been a dog. He lost that dog in him. Cam Smith's a dog. He's got that dog in him historically, and then he got the bag from Live Golf and he gave up the dog. He's going fishing on his boat, in Florida, and then just, I guess, not really trying as much. Exactly. And then I didn't even see Jeff's comment until this very second, but from drafting Cam Smith, he was a recreational fisherman, not professional golfer on his team. Yeah, this is the lore. This is exactly right. And everyone kind of knows this. The Cam Smith lore. I have too much Cam Smith. I need to stop drafting him. But also, what if he's just back to form? It wasn't that long ago. It wasn't that long ago. Let me show. Let's go to Brian Harmon. There he is. Brian Harmon won the Open back in 2020. What year is that? 3 at Royal Liverpool. So it hasn't been that long. And Cam Smith won the Open the year before in 2022. So it really hasn't been that long either. At the same time, you have guys like Brooks Koepka back on the PGA Tour, also kind of got the bag on the Live Tour and has been bad ever since. He won the PGA back in 2023. That was at Oak Hill. He also, I guess his other wins were way before that, right? Yeah, way before that. But I mean, look at all the runners up. Runners up at the Masters. Runner in the same year he won at Oak Hill, or actually the year before he won at Oak Hill. No, the same year. The same year he won at Oak Hill. Runner up at the Masters. Insane. What a season. Yeah, the Live guys. John Rahm. Sorry if I was covering anything there. I forgot to take the comment down. John Rahm has been the only Live guy that really gets the same. Whoops. What am I doing? I feel like I shifted something there. John Rahm's the only Live guy that really. I mean, Bryson, you could say. Okay, there's 2. I knew there's another one. It's like, who was I thinking of? It's John Rahm. Still gets a lot of love because he's still good. Bryson DeChambeau still gets love because he's still good. Was able to win a major after joining the Live Tour. The 2024 Pinehurst U.S. Open. So Rahm and DeChambeau are the only Live guys that are getting love out here. Surprisingly, I mean, Tyrrell Hatton, his ADP's fallen every single week. People were excited to draft him in the top 15, and then they haven't watched him play golf for 2 months because he's on the Live Tour and no one cares. And so he's at almost a pick 30 now. I still like Tyrrell Hatton. I think he's a pretty strong golfer. So I feel like time to start hammering some Tyrrell Hatton. At the same time, you get a guy like Jacob Bridgman in the same range. So take your pick there. Maverick McNeely, I also kind of like. Minwoo Lee's been a bomber this year, been good. Dr. Chapinski. So it's a tough range because there's a lot of good upside picks around there for sure. Yeah, if Neiman gets into the Open, it'd be 3 out of 4 events. Only missing at Augusta, you could work around it. Yeah, he very talented. So that's always been the problem with Neiman here. Yeah, 2 of the 4 and in the Open. So, yeah, Billy Ho's not a bad pick. I've done it a few times. I'd been clicking Billy Ho a lot more previous years when he was automatically qualified for all 4 events. Hatton can be good. Tyrrell Hatton can be very good. Yeah, can he win one? To be determined. He could have some nice finishes though. Cam Smith, bag not making the weekend. Yeah, yeah, it's tough with Cam Smith. You don't get any points in the Albatross for the weight of the fish that you're catching off the coast of Florida after you get cut and you go back home on Saturday. Okay, let's go ahead. I'm gonna join one of the smaller ones, and then we'll do our prep for the week until it fills. So the putting green's still open. I've done one putting green. I'm gonna do one more $5 putting green. It's 1,100 entrants, $5,000 in prizes, $1,000 of first place. So 1/5 of the prize money goes to the first place. You got to get 1 in 1,000 to get that, which is pretty fun, I think. To do like 1 or 2 entries in this one a week. Perfect. Waiting on 3 more. I'll keep an eye on that. And then let's do our prep for this week for the Valspar. And if you're new to the channel, if you're watching this in the future on replay, if it's Wednesday or Thursday of the Valspar, make sure you're subscribed here. Or if you're watching in the future and you're here for the Albatross content, I do Albatross live drafts every Tuesday night. Make sure you're subscribed. Help me hit my goal of 1,000 subs before the end of the summer. And come draft with me. Come sit up in the chat. Okay. The first thing I want to look into for the Valspar, and I hope this is big enough. I can probably make it. No, I can't. I hope this is big enough. Let's look at the tournament history. So, wow, we've got 10 years of data, and we probably don't care too much about tournament history, but this is a fun way to look at who's in the field and if they're any good. Still waiting on 4 more for a putting green. So what I'm going to at the same time do is, because apparently someone left this one, I am going to also enter a par 3. Par 3, haven't done any. No, I've done one of these. I guess I did one of these. I don't remember doing it, but no, actually, yeah, was that today? I did a par 3. Oh, shoot, it filled. Okay, well, let's do a crash course in what's going on at the Valspar as we draft this one, and then we'll get more detailed for the subsequent drafts. We always do a few. This is Rick Rungood, his premium model that he puts out, one of his data tools. And this is 10,000 simulations of this tournament and their odds of winning, finishing top 5, all that good stuff. Let me go ahead and exit this putting green. Well, I'll stay in the putting green because it might not fill that fast anyways. Let me pull up in this par 3 on my phone. It's starting in 15 seconds. My big takeaways here, Xander Schauffele wins this thing in 900 of the 10,000 simulations. So 9% of the time, he's getting top 5 in 2,600 of those 10,000 simulations. So Xander's the 101. It's easy. Keegan Bradley sims out at winning this thing above 5%. Justin Thomas, close by Corey Connors. I kind of think of a 1% as a cutoff for like a realistic chance to win and should be drafted in a tournament like this where we're only drafting, there's 6 teams and there's 6 rounds, so only 36 golfers. So who has really good chance to win this thing? I'm on the clock. I could take Justin Thomas here. I could do Akshay, has some pretty good odds. I'll go ahead and do boom. I'll do Akshay, and maybe there's a chance I can get Justin Thomas to come back to me at 9. If he doesn't, totally fine. Kind of in a similar tier for me. I do like Akshay. I mean, he's on a roll right now. So I'm kind of tiering these guys based on their percentage chance to win in the simulation. And then I'm not going to reach for ADP like Keegan Bradley. He's ADP's in like the let's see, I think it's like 20. Keegan Bradley ADP is 20. So I'm not going to reach up and take him, but I am going to queue him and I'm going to prioritize him. Thigala, Connors. I will go ahead and take Connors here because he's a guy that sims out in a top 5 for this tournament, almost a 5% chance to win this thing. That's pretty high odds in any given week. And so that's like the odds that Rory would have won Pebble Beach, I think, was about like 3, maybe 5% at the best. He didn't win, but just like relatively what's a good top golfer in a field going to get. We know that Scotty Scheffler's been anywhere from 21 to 30% chance to win these tournaments, which is absurd, but pretty impressive. Hovland, Fitzpatrick, Bridgman, Spawn, Thigala. So Spawn and Thigala are guys. I think we just saw Thigala and Spawn go. Awesome. I probably could have set my ranks already. I haven't yet, but I have remembered who I've queued up. Where does Wyndham Clark fit? I feel like he was okay. Anyone with like a 1.5 to 2% chance to win this thing, I think is pretty solid. Guys who are sub 1% are kind of more of a scroll down pick. And there's a bunch of scroll down guys who have a above 1% chance to win this thing. So it's like, why scroll for a low odds guy when you can just draft a guy who has high odds and is still a scroll down pick? It's kind of my thinking how I've been approaching these weekly tournaments on Underdog. It's the Underdog Open format. This one is the par 3, which is the $3 entry. Smaller field, only about 2,200 people. If I don't go Wyndham Clark, I could do Aaron Rye. I think this is a good field for him. That he could have a nice result. I think we've covered the bases on the other guys who've already been drafted. Tony Finau is interesting. Davis Riley, another name. I mentioned him earlier. Would be afraid to take him. I don't mind the Tony Finau click. What tournament was it recently that Tony Finau had a pretty decent finish? My mind's going blank. It wasn't the Players. Was it the API? No, he didn't play there. So it was just, I guess, just the Genesis. I feel like I saw him on Sunday at the Genesis. So, wow, it's really been a while. He didn't. Wow. Okay. So interesting. Maybe I was watching the Players early and early on Saturday and Sunday, and I get to watch some of the feature groups with Finau. That's probably what I'm thinking of now that it comes to me. So let's be chill on Finau a little bit. He hasn't been great. Who else could win this thing? Clark. I don't know. Højgaard, notably below 1%, and his ADP, I think that's the biggest disconnect. His ADP is number 9 overall, 8 to 9 overall, but doesn't have good odds to win this thing. I mean, there are players who are sub 0.02%. So there are a bunch of guys in this field who just most likely have no chance of winning, making the cut, making the top 5, top 10. So tough stuff for a larger field, I guess. Pretty cool just to go Davis Riley here. Seems like a field that he can compete in. I've seen him beat Scotty Scheffler at the Charles Schwab on a Sunday in person a couple years ago. Hasn't been totally impressive lately, but if we're giving him almost 2% chance to win this thing, good enough for me. There's a bunch of scroll down picks here. It's interesting. Nick Taylor, Taylor Pendrith on the clock, and I have one last pick. So my 5 so far: Batia, Connors, Bradley, Riley. Could do Finau. Who was I just saying? I didn't mind Looking at Pendrith or Taylor, they're both gone. So I'll go Tony Finau. Boom. Just thought about like maybe throwing those guys into the last second. The team is Batia, Corey Connors, who I'm going to have a bunch of this week and most weeks. Keegan Bradley, also having a lot of him every week, and I'm going to have him a lot this week too. Aaron Rye, Davis, Riley, Tony, Finau. So essentially, Davis, Riley, and Finau, ADP 357 and 356. They're going to be anywhere from 1% to 5% owned. It kind of feels like at this rate. I've got a somewhat of a feel for it because it shows you the ownership percentage of each player in your lineups once this goes live. And I've noticed that I'm able to build a lot of lineups with, to me, some of my better lineups that have cashed or finished in like a top 100 in these tournaments. Of course, maybe my first 3 picks are all 100% drafted, but then I'll have a guy who's like 50% drafted. I'll have a guy who's like 30 to 60% drafted kind of range. And I'll have a 1 or 2 guys, that are 1% drafted, maybe 1 or maybe 2 of them are like 1% drafted. So there is something to that, just to get different from the field and not just take 100% drafted guys every time. Because the player field this week, what do we have here? I mean, I know it says it like everywhere. It must be, is it 100 golfers? Is it 120 golfers this week? As we scroll through it, there's a ton of guys. I forget the official number, but it feels like, it's a bigger week, obviously not a signature event. So there is some value to scrolling down. And there's some of these names that most likely are going to get cut a lot of the time and not do so well. So like, I'm going to sort this by the odds they get cut, not make the cut, the odds they miss the cut. And these are guys that are maybe scroll down picks that you'd want to avoid. Paul Waring, only 23% chance to make the cut and 0% chance to win, which is kind of funny on its own. Charlie Hoffman, Cam Davis, Nick Dunlap. Nick Dunlap's interesting, though. It's like he only has a 30% chance to make the cut, but if he makes the cut, almost a 1% chance he wins. So that's kind of like a fun, does Nick Dunlap figure out his driver off the tee? Peter Malnati shot out, a previous winner of this tournament, not likely to make the cut, and a 0% chance essentially to win this thing, which is pretty funny because he actually won this thing, was that 2 years ago? A bunch of names on here. Some guys. A bunch of guys we know. Matthew Pavon, PGA Tour winner. Adam Schenk. Danny Willett, former Masters winner. Thank you, Jordan Spieth. Gary Woodland. So guys who are not very likely to make the cut. There is some Austin Eckroat. There's some value to these guys. But what I'd want to do is I'd want to sort this by the percent chance they win and then focus in on guys, if they are a really deep scroll down, still have like above a 0.5% chance to win because, I mean, if they have a 5% chance to win, they're winning at 500 out of 10,000 simulations. A 0.5 is only 50 times out of 10,000 simulations. That's pretty terrible odds. We also have their DFS salary here. And yeah, so kind of going from 0.5 and up. The putting green is 4 out of 6 filled. I'm going to go ahead and jump into another par 3 and see if that fills faster. We could rip another one of those. And then maybe an Underdog Open eventually. Because I do want to do some of those this week. I'm in a par 3. It's waiting for 2 more. I'm in a putting green, which is the $5 entry. It's 2 more to be filled. Let me catch up with y'all because I've just been ranting. Also, let me go to my active draft. So as soon as one of them goes live, we'll catch it. I got some slows going. I got a bigger board going. Y'all want to see something fun? Well, just a quick little detour to some NFL. I keep seeing PGA. I'm in round 12 of my first bigger board, and 2441 build. Jaden Daniels, 10 picks past ADP. Tyler Shuck stacked with Chris Olave. Jameer Gibbs at the 102. DeAndre Swift, 10 picks ahead of ADP, but you know me, a lot of Swift, and I'm on the turn, so I got to make some choices. And this has been going. This is a slow drop. It's been taking forever. Blake Corum, okay. Gainwell, I like him. You know me. Pickens, of course, another me pick. Olave, nice. Devontae Adams, totally fine. I do think the Rams potentially draft a wide receiver, but I'm still cool with Devontae Adams being such a red zone threat. Marvin Harrison, past ADP. Sam Laporta, kind of right at it. So team stack with Gibbs. So that's my first bigger board. I'm feeling pretty good about that. The Shuck stacked up the Jaden Daniels past ADP. And we filled a par three. Let's jump right into it. Hartman's in this one. Shout out to Hartman. He's in the 4 spot. I think I'm going to pop the board out again and then zoom in a bit. And then I'll be queuing players from my phone. And we can flip back to the tournament predictor if we need some ideas. Let's do some more scroll down guys though real quick. Oh, I'm at the 101. Let me make this pick. I am going Xander Schauffele. He's got like a 9% chance to win this thing. Sign me up. I'm also a big Xander fan. Okay, so guys with above a 50% chance to win this thing, it's going to be like Rico Hoey, who for my scramble bags, I would like that. Lauer, Walker, Brooks, overdrafted, so not a good pick. But who are the guys who are underdrafted or have a really cheap DFS salary that have above 50% chance to win this thing? Danny Walker is kind of intriguing. Not so much. Takumi Kanaya's interesting. I would say that. Brian Campbell, not so much. Nick Dunlap, we talked about him. He is kind of interesting. Emiliano Grillo could be interesting. My scramble bags would also like that. Garrick Higo, another scramble drafted player that I think would be interesting here. Davis Riley, I've been in on. Tony Finau, I just drafted him too. So we're kind of ahead on that. AJ Ewart, who did pretty bad at the players, very bad at the players, but who doesn't at their first time there? They asked him in an interview. He's a Canadian rookie on the tour. I could do Thigala here. I could still have some faith in Ben Griffin. I could do Spawn. Connors is gone. So I think what I want to do is go Thigala with one of my picks. And then it's like, do I go Spawn or do I go Ben Griffin? I'm going to flip back super quick to the tournament predictor. Spawn or Ben Griffin. Spawn's got an edge over Ben Griffin here, kind of in the same tier. Spawn's cheaper, very similar. I'm going to go Ben Griffin based on ADP and because he's more of a favorite. There's a chance Spawn comes back around, a small chance, but it could happen. So AJ Ewart, in an interview with the players during the practice rounds, I think on Tuesday, they were like, you know, you haven't played at TPC Sawgrass before, or like they're asking him, have you played here before? And he goes, well, I haven't, but I've played it on Tiger Woods PGA Tour, whatever year he said, 2011. He says he'd played TPC Sawgrass thousands of times and that he was one of the top world ranked online players of whatever year Tiger Woods PGA Tour video game. Just so funny though, because yeah, one of my favorite all-time games are those Tiger Woods games. And I played them a lot too. I played them a lot. But it sounds like AJ, you were maybe even played them more than me, which is to me very impressive and very funny. But it didn't really serve him well. He got destroyed by Sawgrass. The teeth came out. Catch up with y'all. I'm so far behind. Shout out to Anthony, aka Best Ball, on call. Yeah, Billy for the vibes. I love that. Billy is always a vibes pick. True. My man, Anthony, BB, OC. Good to see you, my friend. Thanks for being here. All right, I don't know what I'm gonna do at pick 24, 25. Who do I kind of want? What's what kind of stands do I want to make? I got Ben Griffin, Rye, Clark, Cootie. A Cootie bounce back. That's kind of fun. He's still there. Boom, a Cootie bounce back. I think I'm in for Aaron Rye. I just want to see if there's anyone else that sims better that hasn't already gone. Grazerman's way up there. I like Grazerman. Boom. I drafted Grazerman. His ADP was much later, but my last pick is 36, so I'm good with that. I'm also on the clock in another draft. I think this is the putting green. We're about to find out. Yep. Perfect. Let's start it from here. Hovland or Fitzpatrick? Probably Hovland for the ADP, Fitzpatrick for the recent form, and the tournament predictor likes Fitz a little bit better. I'm gonna go Fitzpatrick there. I've got a Hovland team I drafted previously. So we'll make the last pick in this draft as we're kicking off a $5 putting green. Make sure you hit like on the stream. Make sure you're subscribed. Come draft PGA best ball teams with me every Tuesday night. I call it birdie hunting. I've got an ADP and qualifications for the majors tracking worksheet, a data model that I share with my channel members. So consider becoming a Fantasy Football Garage premium YouTube channel member today. You get the Lamborghini emotes in the chat. You also get access to my PGA best ball cheat sheet. I'm so far behind. Jeff saying things, Meg saying things, Hartman. Shout out to you guys. Let's make this last pick here before I'm back on the clock over here. Oh, Hartman's in that one too. Sicko, complete sicko mode. If Hartman doesn't already know that he's in that draft, he knows now. Blades Brown. How does Blades Brown sim out? Almost won at La Quinta. And by almost won, he was on TV. He's not going to sim very well. Higo would be fun. Let's throw in a Higo. There's no way he's been drafted already. Garrick Higo. Boom. I'm on the clock in the putting green. Let's flip to that. I could just go Connors. Did I get Cantlay in time? I did. Threw Cantlay in there. Damn, Connors goes. I wanted Connors way more, but I feel like I'm underexposed to Cantlay, and they're close enough. I mean, Cantlay's actually pretty far down in the sim, but much further down. But in real life, I think they're pretty similar. Boom, bailout pick. No, okay. I would have taken Ben Griffin or Spawn just because They're not going to come back around. But I take Keegan Bradley there. I don't think it's a problem though. 'Cause maybe I could get Keegan to come back around. Probably not. Where does Smotherman some? I don't think Smotherman's a very good pick in this thing. Austin Smotherman, 60% chance he makes the cut, which is decent. 0.3% chance he wins. His price is 7,400 in salary, so he's a very bad value. The same quality. I mean, Brooks Koepka's the worst value. Davis Thompson seems like a bad value, which is sad because he was so good a couple years ago. Nick Taylor and Pendrith somehow are also bad values. So is Højgaard. So Højgaard, Pendrith, Nick Taylor, Smotherman, Brooks Koepka, Davis Thompson. Some of the worst picks, unfortunately, according to the Sims. Otherwise, Fitzpatrick and Hovland are also very bad. I mean, this is accounting for their salary. So ADP, just take what you can get. But there is something to this just to fade some of these guys and get different because they're 100% drafted and just assume they're not the best pick. And there's better, equally good, because not better picks, but equally good picks who are less drafted. And that has value. It could be Aaron Rye. Could be Grazerman. McCarty, Wrighton. I think I go Rye with the first one because I know what I'm getting with Rye. I don't know what I'm getting with McCarty. McCarty's fine too. I might take McCarty with my next pick. Wrighton and McGreevy, I need to check in on. I might do Griot too. I don't see Wrighton anywhere. There he is. Not good. Neither for Penge. McCarty, I think I'm going to do that. My fifth pick. So Matt Fitzpatrick, Patrick Cantlay, Keegan Bradley, Aaron Rye, Matt McCarty. Griot could be my scroll down here. McCarty already kind of is. Yeah, take Wrighton off the list. Grazerman's always fun. Cootie's a bounce back. We just like him. Højgaard's a lot of hype. McGreevy's pretty far down here too. I don't love that. Thinking back to my bags that I've got for the scramble, so I'm trying to leverage, like I've already drafted a ton of Higo and Hoey. Is there any chance they do good in this thing? Hoey's okay. Higo was up here though. Higo is sitting pretty good actually, which gives me some comfort knowing that I drafted him a bunch in the scramble. No one's going to draft Emiliano Griot. They don't really draft him, but if they do, I'll take Higo, who's guaranteed to be 0 to 1% owned, and I'm the one drafting him. Griot's also in that category. So, and there are so many names in this tournament, like I was saying. Who's drafting Neil Shipley? Who's drafting Paul Peterson? David Lipsky. And some of these guys could hit and give you a top 10 and be nice and differentiate you from the field. But I don't know that it's worth scrolling down when only 36 players are drafted. The size of the field of these tournaments is what kind of brings me back into wanting to scroll down. This one, the putting green's 1,000, so not ideal to probably scroll with all that risk if you don't have to. In a 8,000 person Underdog Open, there might be some value down there. Let's look at my team. Let's look at Hartman's team too. And let's catch up with the good people in the chat because I'm so far behind. Jeff knows all about it. I'm actually like 20 minutes behind. This is true. The whole hat theory. And I'm trying to. We'll look in this draft who doesn't have a hat on, and we'll make some decisions there. Wow, this is. I have to pop it out. It's not very convenient to scroll through it at that size if it's not popped out. Yeah, you definitely don't want to get cut at the Masters. True. Yeah, Rick Rungood is incredible. Yeah. So Meg, sorry that I missed you, but and we'll talk more about this on Friday. But at that point, it'd be too late to draft him because the tournament will be kicked off. But thoughts on Spieth this week? Yeah, I'm big in on Spieth. I'm on my Longhorn homerism that I'm a big fan of Spieth. Exactly. So I'm gonna have some Spieth this week naturally because I'm just a believer, probably to a fault. He doesn't sim that bad though. He's up here. He's a 2.8% chance to win this thing. In DFS, he's got an expensive salary because he's Jordan Spieth. But in best ball, just draft him at ADP. And so I do want to get some more Spieth. Spieth, Thigala, Bridgman. These are very, I think, good picks for this week. If you're doing DFS, Spieth looks expensive, so maybe not the best choice. It's a pretty difficult golf course. The meme about Jordan Spieth on PGA Twitter is if they ever, while you're watching the live broadcast, if they ever cut over to a shot of a golfer and you can't see the golfer because he's like behind a bush or a tree or like a crowd of people or a grandstand, 9 out of 10 times that is Jordan Spieth. Yeah, if you don't draft Peter Malnati at the Valspar, are you really even drafting? Is what people are asking. Yeah, AJ Ewert. So this is probably asked this before I went on the tirade about him playing PGA Tour, like Tiger Woods video game. But I think he's interesting. He models out really well. He's a PGA Tour rookie. And if we dive deep into Ewert, the model always likes him. I want to say he had an okay finish somewhere recently that made me think about him again. He's been playing decently, right? So cut at the players. He did well at the alternate field event of the API at the Puerto Rico Open, top 26. It was the COG. He got tied for 13th at the COG, and he's been making cuts since the Sony, besides the players. Yeah, I think he's interesting. He's gonna like sneak up and like do something interesting, I feel like. And this is his page on Data Golf. I know I always cover it up with my face. I think he's interesting. I will draft more than none of him. I will draft some in this format for this week and a lot of weeks. I drafted him I don't know if it was for the players last week. I hope it wasn't. I don't think it was. I've drafted him this season. Okay, so I've done 3 par 3s. That feels about right. I could always do some more. I've done 2 putting greens. Let's jump into an underdog open. 80K total prizes, 9,000 entrants. I'm almost certain this thing overlays this week because of the hangover from the players. So I'm going to guess this thing gets like 85 to 90% filled. So not a bad week to fire off a handful. Unless Underdog doesn't let you join it, which is a bummer, but I'll get in there. Let's see. If I have to join from my phone, I will. Let's see if it happens again. Boom. Yeah, okay. I'm going to join from the phone. An Underdog open. $10 entry. 3 more to start. So while that is loading up, let's go back. We've looked at the tournament predictor a bunch. Let's just kind of scroll through the field. And who's playing in the first groups? What's the recent course history? Yeah, Cam Young did bad in the first leg, redeems himself now, so I am excited about that. Did Grazerman withdraw? Oh shit. Did I just draft Grazerman? Damn. I missed that. I completely missed that. I just drafted him and he withdrew. That's fun. So I'll have to set some ranks this week so that he it gets replaced. I did not catch that. It's right there, and I've already looked at it like 5 times tonight. But Joel Damon's in, the people's champ. Nice. No better way to learn. Just draft the guys who have withdrawn, and then just set your rankings and get a guy randomly the night before. Yeah, just draft Ludwig, even if he's not in the field. That's an excuse. Yeah, I'm a to a fault. I'm a Spieth believer. I know he's such an interesting golfer to watch. He's a total head case. Yeah, yeah, that's right. That's right for you. Winning on one more from the Underdog Open. Or are we talking Spieth again? Now I'm confused. How did Spieth didn't play the cog? Yeah, because Spieth gets special invitations to Pebble Beach, the Genesis, and the API, and he's been playing good since Pebble Beach. Top 29 for Spieth, tied for 29th, tied for 12th at the Genesis. That's good. Tied for 11th at the API. That's good. We're moving in the right direction. He's gaining more than 2 strokes on the field in those events, which is a good threshold for high level of recent play. The players tied for 32nd. He could have done a little bit better, but it was his off the tee that was giving him struggles, and it usually is. He, typically can be a magician as a putter, and if his off the tee game's not crippling him, he can compete. So Spieth rounding into form, right in time for major season. I would love that. Let's go to this draft. It's filled. We'll never get to go through the tournament history on Data Golf because we're just gonna keep drafting, and we've learned that Grazerman's not in the field anymore. Whoops. There was like 5 guys who WD'd right after the players. So I kind of felt like I got that out of my system. Or like I knew which guys those were, and then now even more with Grazerman. That sucks that Grazerman jumped out, but I feel like in the scramble I was not overdrafting Grazerman like I had in previous years. So I feel like I'm okay there. Also, just forgot to team review mine and Hartman's teams, but we're in another draft. So we move forward. In this draft, we have my friend RK Seal. Shout out. Hope you're doing well, brother. And God, I recognize Calhoun. I know I recognize Calhoun here, but I can't remember exactly who that is. Yeah. Boom. There he is. RK Seal. What up, brother? Good to see you. Happy Tuesday. Hope your week's going well. Are you guys on spring break in general? Y'all in the chat? Like, who's on spring break right now? I was on spring break last week. I was in Florida. It was sick. I was doing my own little Florida swing. Didn't play any golf out there, but a bunch of beach time, pool time, family time, tons of seafood. Ate fish and chips 3 out of the 5 days I was there. So I'm living good. Had some grouper tacos. Was one of the best meals I had. Okay. Batia. Batia. Bridgman goes at the 4. Insanity. I don't hate it though. Come on, we know who the good picks are. Had to do it. I mean, we just hyped him up so much. Batia and Spieth, that does feel very fun. I want to get a JT team in because he seemed like he had a nice week at the players, and coming off of a bad week at the API, maybe he's moving in the right direction. This field is like strong at the top and then like okay in the middle and then like very weak at the back end. It's an interesting selection of golfers who are in the field this week. Hoygaard and Hisatsune there both seem it's a little rich, I will say. A little rich. I don't mind Ben Griffin. I want Keegan Bradley, but I've drafted him enough already. I could do Ben Griffin again. I'm ready to get hurt again. On the other side, I might pivot to a guy like Wyndham Clark. At the same time, it's so hard to avoid going Keegan Bradley here, knowing how well he sims out. Above a 5% chance to win. Justin Thomas and Keegan Bradley, like, I want to get more Justin Thomas teams, like I was just saying. If Keegan Bradley's there, I got to draft him. And he's there. I got to do it. But is Clark that big of a step down? Wyndham Clark, 1.47 chance to win. Yes. I mean, Bradley's like 3.5 times as likely to win this thing. Pretty insane when you think about it that way. To not draft Keegan Bradley. Okay, I've got 4 golfers who are super common and kind of paired up around here at the ADP. So now we scroll down. Who are these late guys that we like? Rico Hoey. We could pull in Nick Dunlap. This team would be pretty insane. Deep cut. And then guys who are just good but don't necessarily have to be a scroll down. RIP to Max Grazerman drafts. I just saw him in the queue again. Tony Finau comes back around to mind. Davis Riley again? I mean, could be. AJ Ewart could be. I'm going to scroll down for the other 2 guys I mentioned. If Wyndham Clark's there, I'll just rip Wyndham Clark. If Wyndham Clark is, Grazerman's getting drafted in every draft, and it's not my fault that I got confused too, because everyone's doing it. Clark, Riley. If I draft by salary, which is also not a bad way just to do it, because if you're drafting best ball, you just want the high salary guys. There could make some sense. Where's Clark? Clark's pretty cheap. Clark's available. He's pretty cheap. Aaron Rye's gone. I am going to go Wyndham Clark here. And then so my team is like 4 super common drafted guys. And then is this the Nick Dunlap team or is this the Rico Hoey team? I want to bounce over here. What has Nick Dunlap done for me lately? Has he done anything at all to make me remember that he was the first amateur to win on the PGA Tour since Phil Mickelson? No. Nick Dunlap's been terrible. He cannot control his ball off the tee. There's Nick Dunlap's data golf page. Consistently one of the worst off the tee. He's been cut and withdrawing from events. He's got to get some things figured out. I feel bad for the guy. I like Nick Dunlap. 2-time winner in 2024. He wins the American Express as an amateur, turns pro at 20 years old. First person to do that since Phil Mickelson. And then has had 2 rough seasons since then. 2025 and the start of this year. So you don't love to see that. So I go Rico Hoey there. Rico Hoey, if he can figure out his putter, we might be working with a pretty nice team here. Bhatia, Spieth, Griffin, Bradley, Clark, Hoey. RK Seal does go for the AJ Ewart. I like that pick. Another nice team. So I mean, I know I was saying that like Koepka and Smotherman are overpriced. They show up nicely if you're sorting by DFS salary. What am I forgetting on Smotherman? Was it just the cog that he was in the running for? Is that what I'm thinking? Yeah. It's just the cog. Withdrew from the API. Actually, tied for 13th at the Players. So I guess that kind of flew under my radar a little bit. Real nice there. But he almost wins at the Cognizant Classic. Yeah, it was Echeverria wins outright. Shane Lowry fades. We had Smotherman, Taylor Moore, Ricky Castillo right there in the running. So for Smotherman, I guess, yeah, he's kind of on a little roll lately. Interesting. I wouldn't mind getting like a Smotherman team in this. How fast can we fill one more? If we can fill one more quickly, I'm down for the Underdog Open. I want a Justin Thomas team, even if I have to take him in the first round. Even if. So I'm going to keep this sorted by the entry fees. Oh, that's kind of a good view here. I'm going to keep this sorted by the entry or the salary, and then I'll just kind of reference quickly if it's a good pick or bad pick by the win percentage. What's up with the win percentage? Why is it all greened out? Oh, because it's yeah. Okay. There needs to be more nuance to the win percentage, though. I gotta reach out to Rick. He's got a conditional formatting issue in that column because it makes it look like everyone's green, but they're not. This Brooks Koepka is 0.5, the same color as Batia, who's 4.4, etc. Yeah, like Tony Finau's a scroll down for sure. Then so Corey Connor shows up here 4.47. Where's Bradley? There he is, 5.78. All right, we're back in this one. I'm in the 3 spot. I don't think Justin Thomas comes back around at pick 10, given his ADP. What is it? I'm finding it, of 6. So I'll go Justin Thomas at 3, just to get different. I could have taken Fitzpatrick or Hovland again. I've got teams with both of them. Batia goes at 2. So, get your guys. I thought about going Bridgman there at 3. I do want to get a Bridgman team. Yeah, what's up, Purple Yosh? How we doing, brother? Good to see you. Every day is spring break in Kenya. Yeah. Is that what the weather's like there, Jeff T? Is it pretty moderate, just year round? Pretty nice and sunny? Corey Connors. I got to reference back. Or Thigala. Corey Connors or Thigala. It's Corey Connors. Just keep the faith in Corey Connors. Something good's going to happen one of these weeks. Let me actually keep it on this page and then flip back over here. Yeah, and Thigala goes right. I didn't think Thigala would come back around to 15. I thought there was a small chance. Could this be the Smotherman team? I can get Smotherman at 15. It seems like it'd be a pretty likely situation. I could use Spawn there, Ben Griffin there. They're all going to be available. Yeah, Ben Griffin's not wearing a hat in his picture. That is kind of concerning. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and go Smotherman. We're getting a little different with this one. Yeah, first Underdog Open of the week, straight vibes. I love that. I did my first weekly yesterday. It was a putting green, and it was straight vibes too. And I've had some of my vibes teams do pretty nicely. I will say that. But also, I think most of my best results have been taking advantage of the Sims and the data model, which, like, why wouldn't I? Got access to it. It's super premium. And I love diving into the numbers, the data, and trying to make smart plays. I'm not going super high volume in any of these every week. Given any given week, I'm drafting between like 10 to 15, maybe 20 of these weekly drafts. So if I'm not going to have insane volume, I just want to have like good shots on goal, high quality drafted teams, understanding where the value is and scrolling down and the plays that the field maybe is too heavily exposed to. Who do I want here? Just thinking about these, it could be I don't really know who I want anymore. I'm gonna go with Cootie and hope I get a bounce back. And then I'll take one. I'll maybe take one low owned golfer. I feel like my combination here though could be somewhat unique. I might not have to scroll down. Let me see who pops, who's cheap and who pops. Novak. I don't mind it. Who else? Davis Riley. We've been saying that. And honestly, I don't think that's a bad pick. I'm going Davis Riley. I'm going to be the guy who has like the only Davis Riley teams. And I've been that guy before. Hasn't paid off yet, but it just might this time. Keep it there. Oh yeah, this is where I'm geographically challenged internationally. I have a pretty good sense of things stateside, but I've never been to the African continent. So on the equator, right? I guess that makes sense to me. 80 degrees every day, a little colder in June, July, August, since it's just south in Nairobi. Sick. Okay. That's funny. Today, I mean, Houston, obviously being north of the equator, being in the tropics, being on the Gulf, the weather is pretty widely varying day to day. Woke up this morning, 36 degrees, coldest day it's been in a month by far. It was 70 degrees when I got home. So big temperature swings. We had, I don't know if it's an El Nino or whatever's going on. It's hurricane season or something. I don't know what's going on. I've been hearing things on the weather. Been some wild, strong winds this week, but it's been like anywhere from the low being in like the high 70s to the high being like the low 90s already in March. And then we get like a weird cold snap. So it just can be all over the place. Some of the picks in this one in the last couple rounds, Lucas Glover, I don't mind that at all. It's kind of a fun pick. I wonder how he sims out, but as a vibes pick, it's pretty cool. Zadenhout, I think, is fun. I want to say I drafted him once already in my very first team, my vibes base draft. Thurban Olsen, interesting. Taylor Moore's interesting. We saw him almost win at the Cog. Johnny Kiefer, if he can find his form. So there's some interesting names, definitely some scroll downs. Let's see if we can make some good plays this week. Let's talk one and dones. I started Scheffler, Rory, and Cullen Morikawa in my one and dones last week. Yikes. Terrible. All of those were terrible picks for the players. So I don't know what I'm doing this week at the Valspar. I think I'll try to play some high quality guys that I haven't used already. I might use a Keegan this week. I might use a Corey Connors this week, a Batia. Maybe this is a Bridgman week. Could we see Thigala do something really interesting? Kind of as far as I'm willing to go for a one and done. Have to see what's going on, see what the fields, what everyone else is doing, who they're using. Tough week last week for me with one and dones. I'll fill those out tomorrow, so I'll get into that. But yeah, we did it. Tonight we drafted an Albatross. We did, I don't know, that felt like 4 or 5 of the battle royales, and a lot of fun. It's gonna be a good week. It's the Valspar, it's a challenging course, the Copperhead at Innisbrook. And yeah, I'm going live tomorrow on Adam's channel, Nice and Blunt. I'm gonna post about it on YouTube tomorrow, so you'll see that. Catch us there tomorrow night around this time, drafting NFL best ball, the big board, and then Thursday night, tentatively and almost certainly we're going to do it. Bindles and I are going to do a ballsy show. So some more PGA best ball drafts Thursday night. And then Friday night, I'm going live with the great Fanspeak Network with Meg over there. We're going to draft some Albatross and talk golf and talk about the Thursday and Friday of the Valspar, the results, what's going on, what's changing. And if Jordan Spieth can take home a W, get back in the winner's column on the PGA Tour. Thanks for watching. Make sure you hit the like on your way out. And if you're a real one, leave a comment and just give me your idea of who I should pick for my one and done this week at the Valspar. And I'll catch y'all in another one real soon. Thanks for being here. Peace out. Later, Yosh, RK, Jeff, Hartman, Meg, all the good people. Thanks for being here. Have a great week. See you tomorrow.